A tale of how a seemingly small Earth creature becomes the subject of an intergalactic research project, leading to the shocking discovery that this eight-armed wonder possesses abilities that make even the most fearsome alien predators seem tame, ultimately transforming the galaxy's understanding of Earth's marine life. The holographic display flickered in the dimly lit research chamber of the stellar Voyager, casting an ethereal blue glow across Dr. Xylith's crystalline features. The Centaurian xenobiologist's translucent appendages trembled slightly as they manipulated the three-dimensional projection of Earth's Pacific Ocean depths. Something had triggered their deep space sensors, something that defied their extensive database of known predatory species. Magnification increased, announced Dr. Zara Nyota, the ship's human marine specialist. Her dark eyes sparkled with barely contained excitement as she adjusted her kinetic interface gloves. Unlike her alien colleagues, who maintained rigid postures at their observation stations, Zara moved with an easy grace born from years of deep-sea exploration. The hologram zoomed in on a small creature, barely the size of a Centaurian's palm. Its skin pulsed with brilliant blue rings, a hypnotic display that caused several junior researchers to step back instinctively. "Impossible," muttered Crixval, the Andromedan weapons analyst, their metallic scales clicking in agitation. "Our sensors must be malfunctioning. The energy signature from this specimen exceeds that of a Nexarian blade wolf." Zara couldn't suppress a smile. "That's Hapaloclana lunulata, the blue-ringed octopus, and your sensors are working perfectly." Dr. Xylith's crystalline form clouded with skepticism. "Dr. Nyota, surely you jest. We've cataloged over 10,000 apex predators across 17 galaxies. This diminutive mollusk barely registers on the size scale." "Size isn't everything in Earth's oceans," Zara replied, reaching for the neural interface. "Permission to access the specimen database?" The alien scientists exchanged uneasy glances before Dr. Xylith nodded. Within moments, the chamber filled with holographic data streams detailing the octopus's biological makeup. The readings caused such alarm that Crixval's defensive plates extended fully. "These toxicity levels," Dr. Xylith whispered, their voice crackling with disbelief. "They can't be accurate." "Oh, they're accurate," Zara confirmed, manipulating the display to show the creature's hunting technique. "One bite delivers enough venom to kill 20 adult humans. No known antidote. Death occurs within minutes." The silence that followed was broken only by the soft hum of the ship's quantum core. Dr. Xylith's form had become so transparent with shock that they nearly disappeared against the starlit viewport. "The High Council must be informed," Crixval declared, already reaching for their communication crystal. "If these creatures were to be weaponized, that's exactly why I requested this research mission," Zara interrupted, her voice taking on a steel edge that surprised her alien colleagues. "Earth's oceans hold more secrets than your databases can imagine, and it's time the galaxy learned to respect them." Dr. Xylith's color slowly returned as they processed this information. "Very well, Dr. Nyota. It seems we have greatly underestimated your planet's evolutionary achievements. Prepare the containment protocols. We begin detailed analysis in one standard cycle." As the alien scientists filed out, Zara remained at the holographic display, watching the beautiful and deadly creature swim lazy circles in its digital prison. The galaxy was about to learn a valuable lesson about judging Earth's creatures by their size alone. Dr. Xylith's proclamation triggered an unprecedented mobilization of galactic resources. Within days, the stellar Voyager's research bay transformed into a state-of-the-art marine laboratory, equipped with quantum containment fields and biomolecular analyzers from 17 different worlds. "Your safety protocols seem excessive," observed Zara Nyota, watching as Crixval installed their fourth redundant force field generator. Her new research partner, Dr. Ash Khoury, a rebellious prodigy from the Martian deep-sea colonies, nodded in agreement, his iridescent eye implants scanning the setup with barely concealed amusement. "Excessive?" Dr. Xylith's crystalline form pulsed with agitation. "Dr. Nyota, need I remind you that this specimen's toxicity levels exceed our standard threat matrix? The High Council has classified this as a level -9 research initiative." Ash ran a hand through his silver-streaked hair, a habit that seemed to particularly disturb their Andromedan colleagues. And that's precisely why you need us. This isn't just about containing the specimen, it's about understanding it. The arrival of the research team had caused quite a stir among the galactic scientific community. Dr. Vexturi, a gaseous entity from the Pleiades, floated nearby in their containment sphere, their purple vapors swirling with curiosity. Besides them stood Dr. Raumox, a hive mind researcher from Betelgeuse, their three bodies moving in perfect synchronization as they calibrated their instruments. The human approach to dangerous specimens is unsettling, Vexturi observed, their voice a melodious whisper. You treat them almost as equals. Zara exchanged knowing looks with Ash. That's because they are. Every creature, no matter how deadly, has its own intelligence, its own way of thinking. The blue-ringed octopus isn't just a weapon, it's a marvel of evolution. Dr. Xylith's form crystallized further, a sign of deep thought. Your species' tendency to anthropomorphize dangerous creatures has been noted as a significant concern by the High Council. Yet here we are, Ash interjected, activating his holoscreen to display the latest sensor readings. Because despite your concerns, you can't deny that our methods get results. The tension in the laboratory was interrupted by the arrival of their first live specimen, secured in a quantum-shielded aquatic transport pod. The blue-ringed octopus within moved with deliberate grace, its rings pulsing with an almost hypnotic rhythm. Remarkable, breathed Euromox's three bodies in unison. Its bioelectrical signature is unlike anything in our databases. Zara approached the containment pod, her movements slow and measured. The octopus tracked her with intelligent eyes, its tentacles exploring the boundaries of its new environment with methodical precision. We'll need to establish a baseline for its behavioral patterns, she announced, already typing commands into her neural interface. Ash, can you set up the cognitive response matrices? Already on it, he replied, his augmented eyes projecting data streams directly onto the laboratory's main display. Though our friends here might want to reconsider their threat assessment, look at these problem-solving capabilities. The alien scientists clustered around the display, their various forms expressing amazement as the octopus systematically investigated and manipulated various objects placed in its enclosure. Impossible, muttered Crixval. Its neural complexity rivals that of a juvenile Nexarian. Welcome to Earth's oceans, Ash said with a grin, where size and appearance rarely correlate with capability. Dr. Xylith's crystalline form shimmered with what might have been excitement or fear. Perhaps we should reconsider our traditional research protocols for this subject. Zara nodded, watching as the octopus solved yet another puzzle with elegant efficiency. That would be wise. Because trust me, we've only begun to scratch the surface of what this little one can do. The laboratory hummed with energy as human intuition and alien technology prepared to unlock the secrets of Earth's most fascinating predator. None of them realized just how profound their discoveries would be. The early discoveries exceeded even Zara's optimistic expectations. 3 weeks into the research program, the laboratory had become a crucible of clashing methodologies and stunning revelations. Observe, Dr. Xylith commanded, their crystalline form glowing with intensity as they gestured toward the main containment chamber. Inside, their test subject, dubbed Azure by Ash, navigated an increasingly complex series of mechanical puzzles. The specimen has completed our standard intelligence assessment sequence in 1/3 the expected time. Ash leaned against his workstation, his augmented eyes tracking patterns invisible to the others. That's because you are thinking linearly. Watch this. He pressed a sequence on his neural interface, rearranging the puzzle component. Azure immediately abandoned its previous strategy, instead creating an entirely new solution by manipulating multiple pieces simultaneously with its tentacles. Unprecedented, whispered Vexturi, their gaseous form condensing with excitement. The neural plasticity required for such rapid adaptation. It's not just adapting, Zara interrupted, pointing to the behavioral data streaming across her holoscreen. It's innovating. Each solution is more efficient than the last. Azure isn't just learning the puzzles, it's improving them. Dr. Euromox's three bodies moved in agitation, their synchronized movements betraying their unease. This level of problem-solving capability, in combination with its toxicity levels, the implications are disturbing. What's disturbing, Ash countered, is how quick you are to view intelligence as a threat. He approached the containment field, and Azure immediately shifted its attention to him. The octopus's rings pulsed in what Zara had begun to recognize as a greeting pattern. Dr. Xylith's form clouded with concern. Dr. Curry, the safety protocols explicitly prohibit direct interaction with the specimen. Safety protocols written by beings who've never actually studied octopi, Zara pointed out, joining Ash at the containment field. Look at the chromatophore patterns Azure is attempting to communicate. The alien scientists crowded around their instruments, recording every subtle change in the octopus's color and behavior. Azure, seemingly aware of the attention, put on a spectacular display of shifting patterns and shapes. Impossible, Crixval muttered, their metallic scales rattling. The chemical analysis from its chromatophores shows compounds we've never encountered. The complexity of its neural responses exceeds our measurement capabilities. Ash grinned. Welcome to Earth, where even our smallest predators can surprise you. Zara, are you seeing these synaptic patterns? Already logging them, she confirmed, her fingers dancing across her interface. The neural density is off the charts. No wonder the High Council's sensors flagged it. Azure's brain is practically a quantum computer. Dr. Xylith's crystalline surface rippled with reluctant admiration. Perhaps our initial assessment protocols were insufficient. Dr. Nyota, Dr. Curry, would you be willing to share your Earth-based research methodologies? Zara and Ash exchanged knowing looks. Finally, the aliens were beginning to understand that their rigid scientific approach might not be enough to unravel the mysteries of Earth's most enigmatic predator. Of course, Zara replied, watching as Azure continued its mesmerizing display. But first, you need to understand something fundamental about Earth's ocean dwellers. They never stop surprising you. Just wait until you see what Azure does with the advanced trials. The octopus's rings pulsed bright blue, as if in agreement, and even the most skeptical alien researchers felt a shiver of anticipation. The real discoveries were just beginning. The breakthrough came during the 4th week, though not in any way the research team had anticipated. Dr. Vexturi had been conducting routine toxicity analysis when their containment spheres suddenly flickered, a reaction that sent ripples of alarm through their gaseous form. Impossible, they whispered, their vapors swirling chaotically. The molecular structure, it's shifting. Zara and Ash rushed to the analysis station, their neural interfaces immediately syncing with the lab's quantum sensors. The data streaming across their screens confirmed what Vexturi had discovered. Azure's venom wasn't just toxic, it was adaptive. The compound is responding to environmental stimuli, Ash announced, his augmented eyes rapidly processing the molecular patterns. It's not just a static poison, it's evolving in real time. Dr. Xylith's crystalline form became so transparent with shock that they nearly vanished. But that would mean... It means, Zara interrupted, her voice tight with excitement, that we're looking at the most sophisticated biochemical defense system ever documented. Azure's venom doesn't just kill, it adapts to overcome any resistance its prey might. The laboratory erupted into controlled chaos. Dr. Euromox's 3 bodies moved in dizzying patterns as they triple-checked the Crixval's defensive plates extended fully, their metallic scales reflecting the pulsing blue light from Azure's containment. The High Council must be notified immediately, Dr. Xylith declared, already reaching for the quantum communicator. This discovery changes everything we thought we knew about biological weapons. No, Ash said firmly, stepping between Xylith and the communicator. This changes everything we thought we knew about evolution. This isn't a weapon. It's a masterpiece of natural engineering. Azure watched the commotion from its chamber, its rings pulsing with what Zara had begun to interpret as curiosity. The octopus had moved closer to the containment field, displaying complex color patterns that their instruments were still struggling to Look at these molecular simulations, Zara called out, projecting a holographic display that filled the center of the lab. The venom's adaptation rate is astronomical. It's not just changing its chemical structure, it's anticipating potential defense. Dr. Vexturi's gaseous form condensed with concentration as they analyzed the data. The computational complexity required for such anticipatory molecular it exceeds the capabilities of our most advanced AI systems. That's because you are thinking in terms of artificial computation, Ash explained, his silver-streaked hair catching the blue light as he manipulated the holographic display. This is organic quantum computing at its finest. Every cell in Azure's body is part of the calculation. The implications hit the alien scientists like a gravitational. Their most advanced predators, their most sophisticated defense systems, even their bioweapons, all were based on fixed principles and predictable. But here was a creature that could rewrite its own chemical makeup on the fly, producing toxins that could theoretically overcome any defense. The application potential, Crixval began, but Zara cut them off. Is strictly academic, she said firmly. This isn't about weaponizing Azure's abilities. It's about understanding how Earth's evolution produced something so extraordinary. Dr. Xylith's form had gradually regained its opacity as they processed the discovery. Perhaps we have been approaching this research from the wrong perspective. We've been so focused on the threat assessment that we've overlooked the revolutionary aspects of this adaptation mechanism. Exactly, Ash agreed, pulling up new data streams. Imagine the medical application. A venom that can adapt its structure could be modified to target specific diseases, evolving alongside pathogens to maintain its effectiveness. The laboratory fell silent as the implications sank in. Azure continued its mesmerizing color display, its intelligence evident in every deliberate move. The Octopus had single-handedly upended the galaxy's understanding of biological capability. We'll need to completely redesign our research protocols, Dr. Xylith announced finally. Dr. Nyota, Dr. Curry, your Earth-based expertise will be essential. The High Council must understand that this is no longer just about studying a— No, Zara agreed, watching as Azure solved yet another puzzle with casual ease. This is about understanding that sometimes the most remarkable achievements in evolution come in the smallest package, and Earth's oceans are full of surprises, just like— The octopus's rings pulsed bright blue, as if acknowledging its role in reshaping the galaxy's scientific understanding. The real question now was, what other secrets did this remarkable creature hold? The news of Azure's capabilities spread through the galactic community like a quantum shock. The stellar Voyager's research bay transformed into an impromptu diplomatic center as representatives from various worlds demanded first-hand verification of their findings. Ambassador Trilvex of the Rigelian Confederation arrived first, their bioluminescent tentacles dim with skepticism. Surely these readings must be exaggerated, they declared, examining the data streams. No naturally evolved creature could possess such sophisticated chemical adaptability. That's where you are wrong, Zara responded, directing their attention to the live feed of Azure's containment chamber. The Octopus had arranged its provided enrichment tools into a complex geometric pattern, its rings pulsing with what the research team now recognized as satisfaction. Earth's oceans have been an evolutionary pressure cooker for millions of years. Azure is just one example of what that process can produce. The Arcturian Science Council's representative, a being of pure energy named Lux-427, manifested next to the containment. Our preliminary analysis suggests that this creature's defensive capabilities exceed those of our most advanced military units. The implications for galactic security are not what you think, Ash interrupted, his augmented eyes flashing with intensity. Azure isn't a weapon to be feared. It's a testament to the incredible diversity of life in Earth's ocean. Dr. Xylith, who had watched their research subject become the center of an interstellar diplomatic crisis, stepped. Their crystalline form had taken on a deeper, more confident hue over the weeks of. Our findings suggest that Earth's marine ecosystem may be the most sophisticated bioengineering laboratory in known space, not through artificial means, but through natural selection itself. The diplomatic chamber hummed with tense energy as representatives from 17 worlds processed this information. The hive mind collective of Betelgeuse dispatched an urgent message. Earth's status in the galactic community needed immediate reevaluation. Consider, Zara addressed the assembled delegates, that Azure represents just one species from one planet's oceans. How many other evolutionary marvels might exist in Earth's water? The research potential is precisely what concerns us, interrupted Chancellor Vexnoir of the Pleiadian Security Council, their holographic form flickering with agitation. If one small Earth creature possesses such capabilities, what else might your oceans hold? Ash smiled, pulling up a holographic display of Earth's marine biodiversity. That's exactly the right question to ask. But instead of fear, Shouldn't we approach this with scientific curiosity? Azure has already demonstrated potential applications in medicine, biotechnology, and neural computing. The assembled delegates murmured among themselves, their various forms expressing a mix of apprehension and fascination. Dr. Xylith's research team had already documented 47 potential technological applications based on Azure's abilities. Perhaps, Ambassador Trilvex conceded, their bioluminescence brightening slightly. We have been too quick to categorize Earth as a developing world. Any planet that can produce such sophisticated life forms deserves closer. The diplomatic summit concluded with an unprecedented resolution. Earth's oceans would be designated as a protected zone of scientific interest, with research rights granted only to collaborative teams of human and alien science. As the delegates filed out, Zara and Ash watched Azure continue its intricate color display. The Octopus had inadvertently transformed humanity's standing in the galaxy, not through force or technology, but simply by being its, Ash mused, his silver-streaked hair reflecting the pulsing blue light. I don't think they've fully grasped that Azure is just the beginning. Wait until they discover what cone snails can do. Zara laughed, watching as their small ambassador rearranged its environment once again. One earth-shattering revelation at a time, Ash. As word of Azure's capabilities spread, competing research teams descended upon the stellar Voyager like quantum particles drawn to a singular. The Draconian Science Institute dispatched their most renowned xenobiologist, Dr. Nix Vora, whose serpentine form coiled with barely contained excitement as they observed this. Our containment technologies are superior, they insisted, presenting blueprints for a new holding facility. Allow us to transfer the specimen to our research station in the Hydra cluster. Zara exchanged a knowing look with Ash. They'd been fielding similar requests all week, each alien research team convinced their methods would unlock more of Azure's secret. The Octopus, meanwhile, continued its daily routines with an air of amused indifference to the growing crowd of observers. With respect, Dr. Nix Vora, Ash responded, his augmented eyes scanning their proposed containment system. Your facility fails to account for Azure's cognitive needs. These creatures require constant mental stimulation and environmental enrichment. Dr. Xylith, who had become increasingly protective of their research subject, their crystalline form had developed subtle blue undertones, an unconscious mimicry of Azure's coloring that hadn't gone unnoticed. Perhaps a demonstration is in order. The assembled scientists watched as Zara initiated what they called Free Exploration Protocol, a research method that had horrified their alien colleagues when first proposed. The quantum containment field reconfigured, allowing Azure more space and access to various tools. This is highly irregular, protested Dr. Nix Vora, their scales bristling. The risk factor. Their objection died mid-sentence as Azure began to perform. The Octopus moved with fluid grace, simultaneously manipulating multiple objects while displaying complex color patterns that the team's best quantum computers were still struggling to. More impressively, it had begun recreating molecular structures using the provided tools, demonstrating an understanding of chemistry that bordered on an impossible, whispered a newly arrived Medusan researcher, their neural tendrils writhing in disbelief. The computational power required for such spatial awareness alone is exactly why traditional containment methods won't work, Ash explained, projecting Azure's latest neural scans. You can't study intelligence like this by locking it in a box. You have to engage. The competing research teams watched in stunned silence as Azure continued its display, solving problems that hadn't even been posed, exploring possibilities that hadn't been The Octopus wasn't just surviving in captivity. It was thriving, evolving, pushing the boundaries of their understanding. Your methods are unorthodox, Nix Vora finally admitted, their serpentine form relaxing slightly. But the results are undeniable. Perhaps we could discuss a collaborative approach. Zara smiled, watching as Azure arranged its tools in a pattern that eerily resembled the molecular structure they'd been studying earlier. That's been our point all. Understanding Azure, understanding Earth's marine life, requires us to think beyond our traditional scientific frameworks. The gathered scientists began to discuss potential collaboration, their earlier competition giving way to shared curiosity. None of them noticed Azure watching their interaction, its rings pulsing with what Zara had come to recognize as satisfaction. The Octopus had done more than prove itself as a research subject. It had become a bridge between different species and scientific philosophy. Ash murmured to Zara. I think Azure's been studying us just as much as we've been studying. The octopus's rings flashed in what could only be described as agreement. The crisis struck without warning during a routine venom analysis. A microscopic flaw in the quantum containment field, undetectable by even the most sophisticated sensors, created an opening barely larger than a water molecule. It was all Azure needed. Containment breach in progress. Crixval's metallic voice cut through the laboratory's usual hum, their scales raised in defensive formation as emergency protocols initiated automatic. But Azure didn't attempt to escape. Instead, the octopus executed a series of movements so precise and deliberate that even Dr. Xylith's crystalline form froze in a Using the minute breach as a demonstration, Azure began manipulating its venom at the molecular level, showing exactly how it could adapt to any containment. It's not trying to break free, Zara realized, her eyes wide as she watched the readings. It's teaching us. Azure had identified the containment field's weakness, and rather than exploiting it, was demonstrating how to. The octopus's rings pulsed in complex patterns as it used its venom to outline the exact molecular structure needed to seal the breach. Extraordinary, breathed Dr. Nix Vora, who had remained to observe their research. The computational complexity required to analyze the field's quantum structure, let alone understand how to Ash's augmented eyes tracked the molecular dance with growing excitement. It's more than that. Look at the venom's adaptive pattern. Azure's showing us how it. The laboratory's emergency sirens continued to wail, but the research team stood transfixed as their subject transformed from potential threat to active collaboration. Azure's demonstration revealed not just intelligence, but a sophisticated understanding of quantum mechanics that challenged their fundamental assumptions about consciousness. Dr. Xylith, who had moved closest to the containment field, suddenly noticed something remarkable. The venom molecules. They're arranging themselves into a repeating pattern. It's not random. It's a length. Not just any length, Zara corrected, her fingers flying across her neural interface. It's a mathematical proof. Azure is explaining the theoretical framework behind its adaptive ability. The crisis had become a breakthrough. What started as a potential disaster had transformed into the most significant revelation. Earth's blue-ringed octopus wasn't just a highly evolved predator. It was a sentient being capable of abstract thought and complex communication. As the emergency protocols finally wound down and the containment field was properly restored, Azure settled back into its normal position, its rings pulsing with what could only be described as satisfaction. The octopus had just proven itself to be not just the galaxy's most feared predator, but potentially one of its most intelligent teachers. Well, Ash said into the stunned silence that followed, I think we can officially retire the term containment specimen. Azure isn't our subject anymore. It's our The octopus's rings flashed in apparent agreement. And even the most skeptical alien scientists had to acknowledge that their understanding of Earth's marine life would never be the galaxy's most feared predator had just become its most fascinating. The events aboard the stellar Voyager reshaped galactic understanding of Earth's marine life. 1 month after the containment incident, the High Council convened an unprecedented session to establish new protocols for interspecies research, with Azure's case serving as the cornerstone of their deliberation. In the renovated laboratory, now designated as the Interstellar Marine Research Center, Zara and Ash stood before a greatly modified containment. The quantum fields had been replaced with a collaborative workspace designed with Azure's input that allowed for direct interaction while maintaining necessary safety measures. The final data compilation is complete, Dr. Xylith announced, their crystalline form now permanently tinted with the subtle blue hue they'd unconsciously adopted. Azure's demonstrations have led to breakthroughs in 17 different fields, from quantum computing to molecular engineering. The octopus, busy constructing an elaborate model of a neural network using the tools provided, paused to flash a pattern of rings that the team now recognized as their equivalent of a smile. Nix Vora, who had become a permanent member of the research team, recorded the display with their latest sensor. We've documented over 300 unique communication patterns, they reported, their serpentine form moving with excitement. The implications for interspecies dialogue are revolutionary. Ash's augmented eyes tracked the neural network's construction. More importantly, Azure has helped us understand something fundamental about intelligence itself. It's not about size, strength, or even technological advancement. It's about adaptation, and understanding. Speaking of understanding, Zara added, reviewing the latest communication protocols, the High Council has officially recognized Azure's species as sentient beings with protected status. Earth's oceans are now classified as a Category -1 civilization space. The announcement would have once caused uproar among the alien scientists, but now they nodded in agreement. After months of working alongside Azure, watching its problem-solving abilities, and witnessing its capacity for abstract thought, none could deny the profound intelligence that existed in Earth's oceans. Perhaps, Dr. Xylith mused, watching Azure complete its neural network model, we should be grateful for our initial fear of Earth's marine predators. Without that fear, we might never have discovered this remarkable partnership. Azure's rings pulsed in a pattern that their translation matrix interpreted as amusement. The Octopus had begun work on a new molecular structure, one that promised to revolutionize their understanding of adaptive systems. As the research team resumed their work, now with Azure as a full collaborator rather than a subject, Zara couldn't help but smile at the irony. The galaxy's most feared predator had become its most valuable teacher, bridging the gap between species and methodologies in ways no one could have predicted. You know what the best part is? Ash remarked, his silver-streaked hair catching the blue light from Azure's display. This is just the beginning. Earth's oceans still hold countless mysteries waiting to be discovered. Azure's rings flashed in agreement, its intelligence now undeniable, its capabilities still The creature that had once been viewed as a potential threat had transformed into a symbol of hope, proving that understanding could triumph over fear and that the greatest discoveries often come from the most unexpected sources. The galaxy would never look at Earth's oceans, or its inhabitants, quite the same way.